webinar will be in French and in English, which is one also of what our young alumni want. They want more English, and we have started to do much more English, but we have also a huge amount of alumni who say we are in France and we should talk French. So we have made a compromise of showing most of the slides in English. Some of us will speak English, some of us will speak French. So we hope that our English-speaking alumni will be okay with that. Next slide. Just to remind you where we are at the moment, we are 7,000 alumni in France, of which 3,800 are MBAs and 3,100 are EDP and others. I will come back to the volunteers number: 30 clubs, 4 Center of Excellence, and 2 transversal subjects, which we have introduced last year. Next slide. A very interesting change this year was that, especially with the new work of business and society and the continuous development of career, we have added 50 volunteers. So we are now 150 volunteers, which is a huge number, and we are very proud of that. Next slide. This year was extraordinary, really saying it was not an ordinary year, and the environment was amazingly difficult. In March, mid-March, our membership flow, which is steady basically from tomorrow, and we'll talk about that in 1 second, but from tomorrow to June, went to zero, basically, at the beginning of the lockdown. So we were very concerned. And in addition to that, obviously, all our presential conferences were basically canceled. We pivoted all our events to Zoom, and the team was absolutely, the team and the volunteers were absolutely fantastic. We pivoted all our events to Zoom in a week and reached out to much more alumni. And this is probably the only good thing of COVID. It forced us to be able to do also the remote approach, knowing that if one day COVID ends, we will probably go to a hybrid approach, but we'll continue to reach all the people who cannot come to the presentials outside of Paris, obviously in all the rest of France. And we have already now quite a few alumni coming from all over the world to our events. We closed our office, asked for the team to work in remote immediately for the safety of the team and of alumni coming to see us, had unhappily to reduce the working time, but that's what the president is for in difficult times, and therefore the cost of our team, which was a huge effort of the team, and we were really, we thanked them to have done that. We were able after that to gain back most of the lost ground in membership, because we came to 1,912 versus 1,990, and finished the year, due to the careful day-to-day management we had, and finished the year with a better P&L and cash flow than in 2019, which was already better than in 2018 and in 2017. So yes, quite an amazing result in such a difficult year. Just, I'm gonna say some of the things which happened, but my colleagues, I'm gonna tell you much more about it. Career has continued to innovate, and mentorship was already there. Coaching has started, interim management conferences have started, leadership master classes with Boston Consulting have started. You will see also the amount of innovation of business and society with the Summer Globe, the Globe INSEAD Day webinar, the Next Normal Perspective think tank, where we attracted 50 volunteers, nearly 50 volunteers. The rest came from Career and Solidarity. Entrepreneurship has increased its penetration, and even they are the ones which had the most outside countries, following them on remote. And its business angels have invested 1 billion in 9 startups. And we have now a platform, INSEAD Alumni France Venture, for bigger investment, which also started. We also had, our digital center of expertise has launched the digital transformation series with McKinsey, and this was quite amazing also. I have the impression I talk like Trump, like quite amazing also. Anyway, it's not a very good example. Corporate CEO, the Corporate Center of Expertise has continued to organize value-added events with top speakers, welcome 2 new clubs, Insurance and Future of Work. Our regional alumni clubs are now back. Sophie has, next to also Business and Society and Corporate, has put them back on track, and the remote events helped a lot, and a more comprehensive effort to support them. We have young alumni ambassadors. The 2 of them are in the EXCO and are present here and will speak later, have animated social media and special events more focused on the family of our young alumni, who not always want to, when they come out fresh of the school, they say they know everything, so they don't need any conferences or workshops. And they have organized random dinners and random aperos. So quite an amazing amount of very good value-added events, as you can see here. More than 320 activities, which is up to 200, nearly 200 conferences and workshops, and 130, 150 one-to-one meeting with alumni to help them in their career, to help them find a job, and so on. So this was, and all of that with from March to end of August, not to end of August, to the end of the confinement, being in remote and having pivoted. So quite, the team has been superb. Next slide. We now, as you know, our structure is the following. We have the career, the entrepreneurship, the corporate, the networking. We have 2 transversal centers, which are Business and Society and Digital. And without further waiting, I now leave the floor to Sophie, who is going to talk to you about Business and Society to start with.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Now, I'm going to be talking here in the name of the so many volunteers that have been involved this year in Business and Society, and lots of apologies if I don't actually mention your name, but all the names of the people who were involved and contributed to this effort that I'm going to describe are in the booklet that you've received, which is our everything we did this year. So can you see my screen? Yes, you can see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, Sophie.
Okay, so the Business and Society Center of Expertise, we've fixed ourselves 3 objectives. The first one was to raise awareness amongst our alumni and even beyond. In fact, I think now on the market generally, awareness around these topics has quite grown. But we have done a lot of events, and I'm going to be talking about all this a bit later, but we've done a lot of events throughout our clubs. We have been also, the second objective is to advocate and to inspire our alumni to put society at the heart of their businesses. And the last thing is that together we want to get involved into action. And this year, we've also had this Next Normal Perspective think tank, which actually covers all the spectrum of what we want to do in business and society. Now, please let me elaborate on each of these topics that were quite new for this year. Now, the business and society theme throughout our clubs, this is just a list of the events that actually put business and society as a core topic for their events. And as you see, all the clubs have been involved. The Career Center of Expertise has been the first one to actually lead the pace. And then we've had the Africa Club. We've got 2 pitch labs. We had a meeting, a visit of the Courbet showroom where they did synthetic diamonds. We've had a big event around business with impact, how to finance it, and that was jointly with the association FIT. We also had 2 events on insurance, one with the club, the new club, Future of Work. Both of these clubs, by the way, are new this year. And we've had this moving event as well about with an untouchable woman in India who became unstoppable in her career in France. That was jointly with Wharton. The second thing another thing we did was this learning expedition. Now, what we've tried to do in Business and Society was to offer different and sometimes more participative formats. And this is why we arranged this learning expedition at the Change Now Summit, which is the largest forum of startups with impact in Le Grand Palais. What was interesting about this initiative is that we engaged into 3 partnerships to actually do something a bit bigger than what we could have done with our means at the association. And we went to, we partnered, of course, with Change Now in particular, and also with Spark News, which is a leader in impact journalism. So that was quite of an experience. Another thing that we've that has been created this year was the SDG Smart Labs. That is a series of workshops. The first one being the SDG Activation Lab, which is for alumni who wish to start engaging in business for good in their day job. That was in partnership with Teams for Purpose. And the second one, SDG Governance Lab, is for boards members who wish to steer their company towards business for good. Now, what's interesting about these 2 series of labs, it is that they are kind of co-creation. People arrive with their wish of their objectives, what they want to do, and then there's the people who attend help and give ideas as to how to, basically how the next day people can actually get on with a list of action. So that's the objective of these workshops. Thank you to the 5 new volunteers who have conceived these monthly events. We've also wanted to keep in touch with our alumni over the summer. And so we've had this idea of asking alumni who wanted to share their convictions to write an article and share it on our summer blog and engage in a conversation also on our social networks. Now, what was interesting about this initiative, first of all, it interested 25 people, but also it was people who are not usually very much involved actively into the association. They're members, but they weren't there every day. And so we met a lot of new faces and heard a lot of new voices to amplify our messages. Now that was a great surprise that we met these new people. And this is why I think this was quite an innovative thing. We created much more links between our alumni. Switch is something we launched, a video series that we launched with inspiring individuals who switched to engage in business for good. Now, the first opus with Eva Sadoun, the founder of Lita.co, a crowdfunding platform for business with impact. now that was very inspiring. Eva is really inspiring. If you haven't listened to it, do click on that link when you get the presentation. What was interesting about this is that we managed to partner with INSEAD so that we would launch it during the Global INSEAD Day. So that was made available and was projected to all our alumni in the world. Next thing that we did was this Next Normal Perspective think tank. Now, the idea came, of course, at the beginning of the first lockdown. We were wondering how to keep in touch with alumni. And we offered to gather with those who wanted and share our experience and how our businesses were coping with the new life. Now, again, that was a wonderful human adventure with alumni who, again, had not necessarily been very active in the association before, but who gave an enormous lot of time and thinking, engaging the community in a survey that you've all received over the summer. Then we produced a white paper. That was a base for the Essentials conference, which was held at the beginning of October. And again, the thing with this group is that it doesn't want to stop. It doesn't want to stop there. It's actually continuing the think tank and wants to take part in the public debate and to offer more events to the community. So stay tuned, it's not going to stop. Now, this shows how much people need to share, to liaise and to exchange. And that was, again, quite an innovative way of contributing to what I think is the association's mission. And of course, we are pursuing and supporting the initiatives that we launched last year, and of course, continuing our project on hidden talents to allow our alumni businesses to recruit rare talents amongst qualified refugees. Also, we are continuing to support the Community Impact Challenges, which was initially launched by INSEAD, the school. Last year, we did the No Single-Use Plastic Challenge. And this year, now, the Sustainable Food Habits Challenge is going at the moment. We are, of course, working with Grandes Écoles Féminines and Women in Business. Grandes Écoles Féminines did an event this morning on both on gender diversity. So to conclude on business and society, it's a topic that this year has clearly taken off. It really interests alumni and it federates our alumni. It involved this year more than 50 new volunteers who weren't active in the association before. And it really helps our business model evolve. But of course, there is so much more to do. So don't hesitate to join the team of the next 50 more volunteers that we're going to create next year. And next.
Ooh, quite impressive, Sophie. I think we stop breathing, most of us, listening to you. So thank you. Let's go quickly on the career. I stop here for 1 minute to say, as you mentioned, for business and society, and I would say that the DNA of this association, it's always team, team, team. And here, what I'm going to poorly present is really the work of Dana Patricky, Ying Wang, Anne Rapp, Nicolas Bontron, Hicham Haber, Antoine Tirard, Marc Julien. Also, we are working hand-to-hand with the school, Felicia Solomon representing the CDC and CDWP, who is permanently part of our initiatives. And I will not go further without thanking a lot Juliana, who make everything happening at this stage for this thing. So our motto is simple, is to serve and support our community. So this complex chart, I'm going to go quickly through it. In a nutshell, what to say? Our objective is to try to address the different situations faced by our alums. You can see here, from the bottom left to the top, can be people starting their career. Don't forget that we have BFC alum and MIM alum who have roughly no working experience. It can be people looking to rebound their career, to reflect on their next career step, to increase their impact at job, to think about what is happened when you become senior, or to reflect on their soft skills for being an entrepreneur. And facing this situation, we have a set of activities, and these activities are either spot on sur la durée, and they are either individual, such as career consultation, permanence carrière, mentoring, coaching, or they are collective, such as workshop, co-development cycle, outplacement, and obviously networking workshop. And as Thomas mentioned, we can put in collective also the wonderful masterclass with BCG. What have we achieved new, I would say, on top of what I showed before in 1920? You read it, I comment it. I think we all face that interim management is growing in France. It's very low when compared to countries like Germany, but it's growing. And we believe it could be an opportunity for some of our alums. And therefore, Anne-Céline, Benoit, and Eric has created this extremely dynamic and intense club with not only conferences, but very importantly, workshops where people can co-create and think about their project. On another hand, we thought we could be trapped in the daily operation of our activities. And therefore, we created, thanks a career strategic board, or a career strategic board was created to give us advice and challenge. And the first topic which was selected is how to be excellent in career transitioning. And I would like you join me to thank very much Janet Decker, Aviva Wittenberg, Luca Verre, Eyal Lavin, and Ahmad Hassan to manage and to give us input and ideas. Also new, because we need to have a content of top quality, we made a partnership with BCG, because we believe at this period of time, leadership is always complex, but it's even a little bit more complex these days. And to be very honest, we were very impressed by the book written by Fanny Potier recently, and we made a partnership together. Also, very important to be always attractive for young alumni, which is really one of our top priority. And Ying has organized, just before the confinement, the lockdown, a very attractive workshop to make them discover everything what the association could provide. Next slide, please. Results, I don't want to go too quick, too slow on this one, because Thomas shows them. What does it mean? In a nutshell, there is no 1 week during the year without 1 or 2 career activity event, call it as you want. Far more if you include the one-to-one career discussion. Clearly, as Thomas was telling, to go remote enable us to extend our reach to people not being based centrally in Paris or in the territories, as people say. And very importantly, I take the opportunity of this slide to come back on the volunteers. I mentioned the people who are the volunteers for the career center of expertise, but let's not forget that behind this 63 workshop, we have 15 animators who are volunteer. Behind the mentoring, there is 40 mentors who spend many hours every month with their mentee who are volunteers, so big numbers. What next? Next slide. Clearly is to continue what we are doing, maybe to suppress some of the stuff and continue what we launched in 1920. But we need, in this period of time, to continue to reinforce our collaboration with the school with 2 objectives. Number 1 is to be at the top level in terms of welcoming the young promo. And number 2, also to be enriched by what the school and the CDP are creating, the CDC, sorry, are creating in terms of career development. Number 2, I would like to thank a lot the strategic board to animate a series of fireside chat on career transitioning. The first one took place some days ago by Aviva Wittenberg-Cox on the fourth phase of a woman career. Fanny make the BCG partnership become a wonderful masterclass. The first one took place recently, and the number 2 and number 3 will be in December and January. We need really to think deeply how to adapt our offer to people who never worked before they join the club of alums. So that's something we have to invent, I would say. And obviously, co-development is very important for us because it creates a lasting relationship between alumni. And one of the topics we do in co-development is, for example, entrepreneurial soft skills, but some others are coming. And obviously, always new workshop, listening to the needs of the alumni. And for example, clearly networking and how to practice better networking is a key workshop we are developing for 21. So in conclusion, 2 words, we are only here for the alumni, for the community. And one ask to you around the table, spread the word. And thanks a lot. And now I think I am done. And I'm very excited to pass the floor to Guillaume.
Thank you, Claude. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to present the activity of Entrepreneurship Center of Excellence this year, very active year, 27th events with 13 in remote. What is new in this Center of Excellence? The first one was INSEAD Alumni Fund Venture. It's a deal by deal basis with alumni, INSEAD alumni for INSEAD alumni entrepreneur. After that, Business Angel was very active too, Thomas Sellers. But this club our club was number 6 in the France Angel ranking last year. We was very impressed about that. And we are very happy with this point. After that, a new club also is a Business Angel knowledge sharing, is a discussion between Business Angel and startups about experiences. And also Apéro Entrepreneur, young alumni was some place to only drink with the network without content. After that, Pitch Lab was very active with 4 events with 3 in remote, Business Lab 1 event, Hacking Growth Club was also active with 4 events, Honor Manager Club with 6 events, Takeover Club was very active also with Association J2E, and also Swiss Knife was active with 30 one-to-one meetings. That's the part very short for the entrepreneurship. Who is next? Is networking, Center of Excellence, not networking, no, corporate, sorry.
Sophie.
That seems to be me as a speaker again for all the volunteers who manage the corporate clubs. Thank you. So the Corporate and Digital Club arranged 33 events, which I think, considering the period, is pretty impressive. Real inspiring speakers, including Nicolas Brusson from BlaBlaCar, Jennifer Pedriglielli, Jean-Frédéric Deleuze, but that's just to quote 3, but there were a lot of real interesting, and 2,600 registrations were quite impressive. Thank you. We have a corporate and digital club here. The little circles tells you how many events were held by each of the clubs. Quite interesting to note that the Insurance Club, who already arranged 2 events, at the end of the year, but they've done more until now. Future of Work also is quite active now as a new club from last year. Very soon to come is the Health Club. And there is a very, very new club which is going to arrive and invite you to an event in a month or so. This is the Governance Club. So as you see, it's quite dynamic. Existing clubs have all been alive, and new clubs are continuing to join us. We've also got affiliated clubs and partnerships with Le Club de l'Économie Le Monde. I do advise that you attend these really inspiring, really interesting moments organized by Le Monde. Le Cercle des Administrateurs used to be a club at INSEAD association, is now an independent association with other schools, but Thomas Bittner represents us at the Cercle des Administrateurs now. We have the G9+, G9+, on telecoms and IT. We have Grandes Écoles au Féminin on gender diversity, Alliance INSEAD Wharton, and the Stanford Club of France, thanks to whom we've organized 4 events in the supply chain club. Now I'm going to be speaking about our networking clubs, and to start with, I think the regions. We've done quite a lot for the regions. Actually, before we even knew that there'd be a COVID session, we thought we had to make an effort to reach out to our alumni and friends in different regions of France. What happened is we were helped by the fact that everybody was remote, and I think they benefited much more this year from everything that we were doing, actually. We have the Midi-Pyrénées, which is Toulouse, and that's an association jointly with HEC, doing a very active part of our very active association. Then we have Rhône-Alpes, which is Lyon. This has been that the management of this has changed this year, and again it's been continuing to arrange regular meetings and events. La Région Sud, we have reorganized, and there's been 3 new volunteers who are happy to facilitate a number of sessions. Now, you will receive an email explaining who the 3 people are and what they would like to do to start again the events and meeting ups in the region. And Hauts-de-France, we've had a first meeting. There are less people there, but we've had quite an interesting and lively Zoom meeting to see what we could be doing there as well. So regional clubs are all alive, and they've all been able to participate in everything we were doing this year. And then we've got networking clubs. Now, most, as you see, some of them haven't been able to organize much because of the conditions. We still had, at the beginning of the year, a Brioche. We've had Concert, Wine Club, and INSEAD Arts that was quite active considering the period. We managed to keep our random dinner. That was very successful. We also had planned a summer picnic, a random picnic throughout France, but of course the conditions made us abandon this project. Instead, we've created the random apéros online, and I will leave the young alumni speak about this initiative that again was incredibly successful.
Sophie, this is Thomas. I wanted to add on the Jubilados Club, which unhappily, if I can say so, admitted me as a member. The Jubilados Club, who is really comprehensive on the year 61 to 70. I'm 75, so to 75. This is an amazing club which organizes 2-3 trips in the world. You know, they went to Shanghai, they went to Munich, they went to, and then in France. and met every month in a superb bistro, where you all should go. Unhappily, really, the COVID has had a hit on the fact that they cannot meet monthly and not travel anymore. But the Jubilados Club is amazing. It's our first 15 years of alumni who are making a superb show. How much French is there. It's amazing.
And I'm told that by Peter that 4 Salamander golf events happened. So well done.
Thank you, Sophie, for leaving me the word. So I'm François, and I'm working with Hicham in the EXCO to represent the young alumni. So Hicham will speak after me, and so our role in the EXCO is to bond and to fill the gap which exists between the school and the young alumni who didn't get used to the strengths of the network of the association, and we are kind of entrance gate for them to answer their questions and to help them connect with the association, know who to reach out depending on their questions. And we also, as Sophie mentioned, initiatives that had the initiative of Random Apéro, which was a success during the first lockdown and was the occasion for people to mingle and meet between classes from France and even abroad in some events of meeting with random people. And this happened once a week, and we had a plan for the coming months to organize a similar event with board games. Hicham, if you want to add something on.
Yeah, I was just wanted to thank you and all the volunteers for all what you do for the young alumni community and INSEAD community as a whole. Mathieu, Sebastian, I forgot a lot of people, but all of you. Of course, we are very present in social media, and it's another way to reach out and get alumni involved in what we are doing. So please get involved and reach out to us. If you are not in our groups, please join. If you are not following us in all the social media, please do. And I want to thank our amazing team for all what they do for in the social media, namely Adeline, Juliana, Magali, and Olivia. Thank you very much for all what you do. And I just want to finish by saying that even though what all our amazing members of the EXCO were saying, that the results of this year are exceptional, the need of our young alumni has become bigger. I think you can imagine why this year. So please be mindful and help them. You might receive a lot of requests, so please, of course, if you can, please help them. And thank you very much. Next, I don't know who is next.
Yes, that's me, Mark. Sorry, I will be brief, and in order to be brief, I'll be French for once. Donc, vous avez vu que les jeunes font plein de choses extraordinaires, et au fil du temps, ça peut avoir tendance à diminuer. Donc, le rôle des co-reps, c'est un groupe de délégués de promotion qui vise à redynamiser, retonifier les liens à l'intérieur de chacune des promotions. Et nous avons choisi pour ce faire, on pense que le meilleur support pour cette action de retonifier les liens intra-promotion, ce sont quand même les réunions. Et donc nous travaillons, c'est un de nos axes principaux, nous travaillons avec l'INSEAD pour coproduire et co-construire ces réunions anniversaires, année après année. Et donc les COREP, ce sont un groupe d'une demi-douzaine de délégués de promotion qui ont pour objectif de partager avec les autres délégués de promotion. Ça va, il y a quand même une 40 années là, et on commence à partir des années 2010, quoi. Essayer de partager avec eux des bonnes pratiques, comment faire ou pour rassembler les promotions entre elles. Et puis, la dernière mission qu'on s'est donnée, c'est tout de même d'être une chambre d'écho de toutes les actions développées par l'IAA en direction des promotions. Je vais essayer d'être un autre canal de diffusion de ces informations et de ces initiatives. Business and Society, par exemple, on essaye de promouvoir leurs actions par ce canal un petit peu différent que sont les promos. Voilà pour moi.
Eh bien, merci Marc. Donc, bonjour à tous, Vincent Laprat. Désolé pour ma caméra flottante, mais j'ai un problème de PC, donc j'utilise mon téléphone. Donc, l'IAF, bien, je pense que maintenant vous le savez pour la plupart d'entre vous, l'IAF, c'est une équipe de bénévoles distincte de l'association, mais qui travaille avec elle main dans la main. Et j'en profite pour remercier Thomas et toute l'équipe pour l'invitation pour ce soir, et puis surtout leur soutien tout au long de l'année. Alors, en France, qui sont les bénévoles? Nous sommes 5, donc Claire et Eric, qui sont avec nous depuis 2 ans, Nourdine et Lef, qui nous ont rejoints cette année et que je remercie, et donc moi-même. Alors, quel est le rôle de ces bénévoles? C'est d'animer la communauté et les alumni pour vous inciter tous à soutenir financièrement l'INSEAD. Alors, justement, cette année particulière, cette année de Covid, était l'année de tous les dangers aussi pour l'INSEAD, et l'école a été frappée de différentes façons. Donc d'abord, l'arrêt total des cours d'Executive Education pendant un trimestre, et je rappelle que l'Executive Education, c'est la moitié des revenus de l'école, donc c'est énorme. Le report de la rentrée, ou de la venue plutôt, de 200 candidats de la promo 21J qui nous rejoindront que l'année prochaine. Une baisse donc au total d'à peu près 25% des revenus, l'arrêt, ou en tous les cas le report du projet de renewal, de la rénovation du campus de Fontainebleau, et puis comme vous voyez sur les photos de droite, des investissements pour rendre les cours à distance plus interactifs avec des classes virtuelles, et puis aussi des solutions de virtual reality, de réalité virtuelle, pour faire des visites sur site, donc des investissements supplémentaires. Alors, comment nous et comment vous tous avez contribué à l'école cette année? Alors, il y a 2 types de projets sur lesquels nous aidons l'école. Les projets qu'on appelle current, donc qui sont financés par des dons en particulier à travers le Dean's Fund, et ces dons qui sont en particulier appelés lors du Giving Day. Donc le Giving Day auquel vous avez massivement répondu cette année, puisque 280 d'entre vous ont fait un don, donc merci infiniment. C'est une progression de 24% par rapport à l'année passée dans un contexte extrêmement difficile, donc merci infiniment pour votre générosité et votre contribution. Et puis la deuxième façon de contribuer, c'est pour les projets long terme, donc par ce qu'on appelle l'endowment, c'est des dons capitalisés, qui permettent de financer plus à long terme des projets de recherche, de développement. Et en France en particulier, le projet que nous soutenons, c'est la Bourse France, qui a été lancée il y a plus d'1 an maintenant, et pour laquelle vous avez déjà contribué à hauteur de 838 000 €, ce qui est considérable, et qui permet de financer des bourses de plusieurs élèves. Alors, comme vous le savez, nous aimerions atteindre un budget un peu plus important pour financer 2 bourses par an. Alors, à ce stade, nous avons commencé à investir les fonds sur 3 jeunes et brillants étudiants. Voilà, donc Eric et Thomas de la promo 20D, et Inès de la promo 21J. Donc l'objectif de cette bourse, c'est de financer des études de jeunes gens brillants comme eux, mais qui ont des difficultés financières à financer donc ce MBA de l'INSEAD, et qui, grâce à vous, peuvent intégrer notre école. Et ce sont des jeunes dont le parcours est extraordinairement divers et riche, et qui, grâce à leur présence, grâce à leur contribution au sein de leur promo INSEAD, contribuent à la richesse de l'enseignement. Et donc, merci à vous d'avoir soutenu ces jeunes pour permettre l'expression de cette diversité. Et merci encore à tous pour votre générosité sur tous les projets. Et je passe maintenant la parole à Guillaume, qui va également vous parler d'argent.
Rebonsoir, me revoilà de nouveau. Maintenant, pour présenter les comptes annuels et notre budget, donc slide suivante. Voilà, alors j'espère que vous avez tous chaussé vos lunettes, parce que c'est écrit en tout petit comme chaque année, ça évite les questions. Donc plus précisément, en haut à droite, vous avez donc nos recettes, 230 000 € de recettes, avec donc 1912 cotisants. qui est un chiffre très important et qui nous positionne dans les années records, un ticket moyen de 125 €. Et nous avons, au moment du début du Covid en mars, lancé une contribution de soutien. On ne savait pas où on allait du tout, et c'est là où on a appelé les alumni à nous soutenir. Donc c'est comme ça qu'on a 244 000 € de recettes liées aux cotises et au soutien. Après ça, un peu plus bas, vous trouvez donc 32 000 € qui sont les activités des clubs. Les clubs sont toujours contributeurs de notre compte de résultats. Et en effet, c'est quelques euros par club, quelques dizaines d'euros. Voilà, je dirais quelque part, c'est des petites courants qui font des grandes rivières. Et c'est comme ça qu'on arrive au milieu de la slide, donc à peu près au milieu de la slide à droite, à 262 000 € de revenus sur l'année. Après ça, nos charges. Le poste le plus important, c'est bien sûr les rémunérations de nos personnels. Nous avons 5 personnes, l'équivalent de plus de 3 temps plein. Hein, et donc ça, c'est très important. Et c'est comme ça qu'on peut être aussi actif, c'est comme ça qu'on peut apporter autant de services à notre communauté. Les postes après ça, donc le deuxième poste le plus important, c'est la contribution à l'IAA, donc l'association mondiale. Et puis également, voilà, je dirais que si on descend les différents éléments, on arrive à peu près à 224 000 € de charges. Et c'est là où cette année, nous avons donc dégagé un exercice, un résultat de 37 000 €, qui est un record depuis au moins 5-6 ans. Voilà, donc les charges bien tenues et les recettes au rendez-vous. Slide suivante. C'est là où donc vous voyez sur la colonne de droite les revenus des différents clubs et carrières, toujours aussi contributeurs. Hein, donc 25% à peu près des revenus des clubs. Après ça, vous avez dans le ranking le finance et private equity avec 4 200 €. Vous avez innovation avec 4,9 000 €. Et après ça, vous avez business angel pour 3,8 000 €. Donc, ce qui fait un total de 32 000 € que l'on voit ici. Slide suivante. Alors, le bilan de notre association est toujours aussi bon. Nous avons, vous trouvez à peu près au milieu à gauche, 324 000 € d'actifs, hein, principalement composés par notre local. Ensuite de ça, le niveau de notre compte en banque, donc légèrement en bas au centre. Et donc là, nous avons 228 000 € en banque, 229 000 € en banque, ce qui est un très bon montant et qui est en croissance importante depuis l'an dernier. Hein, quand on fait des résultats, ça se retrouve par ici. Après ça, ce qu'on peut noter aussi sur ce compte de résultats, c'est que nous avons une dette auprès des établissements de crédit de 0. Voilà, c'est légèrement à droite, troisième chiffre, quatrième chiffre, 0. Donc, ça veut dire que nous avons fini de payer notre local. Et donc, c'est une décision qui a été prise il y a une quinzaine d'années. Et donc, bravo à vous, parce que quelque part, ça nous a fait rentrer dans cette dynamique de rembourser chaque mois. Et donc, aujourd'hui, nous sommes propriétaires de notre local.
Guillaume,
oui.
Guillaume, j'aimerais vraiment remercier en fait les décisions qui ont été prises il y a une quinzaine d'années et aussi avant et qui nous permettent dans le futur de réfléchir dans une période difficile, Covid-2, Covid-3, Covid-4, etc. Nous avons maintenant la possibilité d'avoir plus de flexibilité grâce à vous savez que j'aime pas le terme ancien, mais j'aime le terme alumni, mais grâce à nos plus anciens alumni dont je fais partie, qui ont pris les bonnes décisions à l'époque et qui nous permettent maintenant cette flexibilité. Merci encore.
Tout à fait. Donc, comme le disait Thomas, voilà. Donc, on a fini de rembourser notre crédit. Slide d'après. Donc là, nous avons fait un budget, je dirais, un peu en ligne avec nos habitudes. 230 000 € de cotisation. Il est très important que tous les alumni cotisent comme ils l'ont fait par le passé. Même si le modèle est un peu différent, même s'il y a plus de remote, on a besoin de ces cotisations dans cette année un peu particulière, car on veut conserver, si vous voulez, le paquebot, ou en tout cas le bateau en l'état. C'est vrai qu'on a regardé avec Thomas comment faire en sorte d'avoir un modèle totalement différent dans cette année Covid. Et finalement, notre principale charge, c'est notre personnel. Et avec notre personnel, on fait du service aux alumni. Quand on fait du service aux alumni, eh ben, on fait des événements. Et donc, cette communauté vit, même si c'est en remote. Et donc, on a vraiment besoin de vos contributions cette année pour équilibrer notre budget. Donc,
qui commence demain. On a un appel de cotisation demain. Et bien évidemment, tous ceux qui nous écoutent vont cotiser, mais et dites-le à tous vos collègues, c'est très important pour l'association.
Voilà, et c'est vrai qu'on a essayé de… Voilà, quand on voit 167 000 euros qui représentent à peu près 70% des charges, ben, quelque part, on n'a pas beaucoup de marge de manœuvre pour downsizer notre PNL. Donc, c'est pour ça qu'on a besoin de vous cette année, encore plus que les autres années, dans cette année très particulière, pour arriver à l'équilibre des comptes. Voilà, j'en ai terminé. Je crois que maintenant, c'est les questions-réponses.
Oui, merci Guillaume. Et nous faisons face à un phénomène bizarre. Il n'y a aucune question sur le chat. Donc, on peut peut-être laisser 1 ou 2 minutes, 1 minute ou 45 secondes pour les personnes de mettre des questions sur le chat que je transmettrai. Mais pour le moment, je pense que les présentations étaient tellement claires et excitantes que si. Donc, on attend un petit peu des questions qui puissent venir.
Alors,
sinon, on peut…
Oui, alors on a…
Tu as une question, Guillaume.
Oui, il y a une question sur, en effet, quand on a vu en mars le confinement, on a mis notre personnel en chômage partiel et on a en effet réduit la voilure par rapport à cette difficulté. Ça nous a permis d'économiser 20 000 euros. Si on additionne tous les efforts des uns et des autres, et aussi on a pas mal de gens en prestat, donc prestataires, et donc en effet, là, il n'y avait pas la possibilité du chômage partiel. Donc en effet, il y a eu des gros efforts de notre équipe. C'est clair qu'il y a eu cet effort cette année, l'année dernière, et donc cette année, on est financièrement en meilleur état. Donc c'est pour ça qu'actuellement, on a pris la décision de ne pas faire de chômage partiel et de continuer à pousser l'activité à fond. Voilà. Donc en effet, il y a eu un effort, mais aujourd'hui, on n'a pas demandé à nos collaborateurs de faire d'efforts sur ce deuxième confinement.
Je peux peut-être ajouter une chose, c'est qu'en effet, on va, les prochains mois vont être incroyablement importants. C'est-à-dire qu'on va vraiment devoir manager au mois le mois pour comprendre ce qui se passe avec nos cotisations, ce qui se passe avec l'environnement économique, ce qui se passe avec tout ça. La question de William qui est de dire can we make our staff whole, nous avons la possibilité en fin d'année de réfléchir à des, et c'est des choses prévues qui sont de réfléchir à des bonus, mais le problème va être, et peut-être qu'il faudra retarder cette chose un peu, d'abord nous serons en période de transition comme Jean-Marc va l'expliquer plus tard, mais on est entièrement prêt si jamais les cotisations démarraient de façon folle, etc., à faire l'effort inverse, si je puis dire, et de dire ça a été très difficile d'atteindre ces cotises, ça a été très difficile de pivoter aussi vite, etc., etc. Et nous avons toujours été très fers avec nos équipes. Je pense que nos équipes pourraient le confirmer, et nous serons tout à fait fair-play. Si on a la possibilité de faire quelque chose, on fera quelque chose.
Thomas, tu as 2 autres questions.
Oui.
Pourquoi le nombre des membres n'augmente pas? Donc, je pense que bon courage. Et l'autre question qui revient régulièrement, c'est est-ce qu'on considérait un membership lifetime?
Alors, je vais répondre à la dernière qui est plus facile. Le lifetime, pour avoir le lifetime, d'abord, on a eu du lifetime et on le paye encore, le lifetime. C'est-à-dire qu'on paye tous les ans, je crois que c'est un peu plus de 10 000 euros. On est content pour eux, d'alumni qui ont payé le lifetime. Mais à l'époque, c'est un peu comme l'État français ou un certain nombre des États mondiaux. C'est-à-dire qu'ils ont dépensé les sous d'abord et puis ou récolté les choses. Non, au contraire, récolter les sous d'abord et c'est nous qui payons tout ça. Le lifetime, quand HEC lance un lifetime, il faut vous dire qu'ils sont 60 000 alumni en France. Nous, on est 7 000. Et donc, tous les ans, ils ont un nombre d'alumni additionnels qui est tellement important que quand eux payent leur lifetime, ça leur permet de soutenir leurs coûts. Nous, on a bien évidemment réfléchi à ça. On a fait le calcul, c'est impossible, c'est juste impossible. Et donc, le lifetime, c'est clair, c'est impossible à cause du petit nombre, à cause de nos 7000 alumni, dont 2000 payent des cotises.
Et en complément, Thomas, c'est un engagement sur les générations futures, parce que ce qui va se passer, c'est que les gens vont cotiser cette année et ils vont s'attendre à avoir un service pendant 30 ans. Et donc, ça veut dire qu'on va prendre une responsabilité d'avoir une dette finalement sur X alumni pendant X années. Et c'est vrai qu'aujourd'hui, c'est pas du tout on n'a pas les moyens en France. Et les seuls qui organisent ça, c'est l'école qui finalement subventionnerait les associations d'alumni. Aujourd'hui, on n'est pas du tout dans ce modèle et on se bat justement pour
l'école n'est pas prête à ça encore. Alors, pour l'autre question qui vient de Chris, je ne sais pas quel Chris, c'est quelque chose qui est notre objectif de tous les jours et notre question de tous les jours. Vous avez vu aujourd'hui, je crois pouvoir dire, et d'ailleurs l'école le dit, on a en termes de valeur ajoutée de ce que nous proposons aux alumni, on est de loin l'association INSEAD et plus qu'INSEAD, de pas mal d'écoles MBA américaines et l'équivalent français qui donne le plus de valeur ajoutée. Et malgré ça, il y a un peu un esprit, j'ose pas trop le dire parce que je ne suis pas français, mais qui est un peu un esprit gaulois qui fait qu'on n'est pas prêt à débourser tout. La preuve, c'est que pour avoir 2000 cotisations par an, notre équipe, et je remercie particulièrement Olivia pour avoir été au téléphone je ne sais pas combien de milliers de fois cette année, doit téléphoner pendant toute l'année. La preuve, c'est qu'au mois de mars, quand ça s'est stoppé pendant 6 semaines, on avait un problème parce qu'on était loin on était à 1000 et pas encore à 2000. Donc, c'est vraiment un effort constamment d'innovation, de segmentation, de réflexion sur la façon d'intéresser nos alumni à juste payer 2-3 repas par an pour ce qu'on leur apporte. Et toutes les idées, et whoever you are, Chris, toutes les idées qui sont bonnes dans le domaine sont bonnes à prendre. L'un des problèmes d'ailleurs, c'est que nos jeunes alumni disent pourquoi est-ce qu'il n'y a pas plus de cotisants, et les jeunes alumni payent moins les cotisants. D'abord, ils payent moins cher parce qu'on leur fait payer moins cher, mais deuxièmement, il y a moins de jeunes alumni qui payent que des vieux alumni comme moi, et donc de dire on va... Donc c'est un problème qui n'est pas évident et c'est un problème qu'on a amélioré, et le fait que nous sommes restés à des niveaux de 2000 en France, avec le nombre le nombre total d'alumni augmentant un peu, est nettement meilleur que toutes les écoles françaises équivalentes, de loin, qui ont fait des chutes de 20 ou 30%. Donc on fait des choses bien, mais on doit faire mieux, mais toutes vos idées sont welcome là-dessus.
Thomas, c'était la dernière question sur le chat. Je te propose donc que tu reprennes la main sur la présentation.
D'accord. Alors, on ne peut pas parler de notre année sans parler de nos essentials, qui ont démarré d'ailleurs avec Jean-Marc et moi à l'époque. C'est la sixième session d'Essentials qui devait avoir lieu au printemps chez Microsoft. Le Covid a fait que nous en avions fait une session qui était même à la limite un peu trop longue, est devenue 4 sessions. Les 2 premières, Next Normal, Sophie en a parlé un peu, basée sur une survey qu'on a fait avec nos alumni, et sur le travail ensuite avec KPMG et avec nos speakers sur la façon de comprendre cet aspect-là. Leadership for Sustainability, qui a été une très grande réussite aussi au mois de novembre. La prochaine, et inscrivez-vous tous, c'est encore gratuit, si je puis dire. Il va falloir qu'on réfléchisse à ce business model aussi pour les membres. Inscrivez-vous tous, c'est Inclusive Leadership. Et Future of Work en janvier. On réfléchit même à Future of MBA Education un peu plus tard dans l'année, au printemps. Vous voyez en bas une chose très importante, c'est que vous voyez des sponsors et vous voyez que KPMG non seulement a sponsorisé deux de ces sessions, mais aussi le livre, le résumé qu'on va faire, les conversations qu'on va faire de cet événement, et BCG et McKinsey qui chacun ont aussi sponsorisé une saison. Donc, c'est important, et à ce sujet-là, je voulais dire pourquoi c'était très important, avant même cette slide, c'est de dire que nous venons d'investir. L'un des grands, il faut que je fasse attention à Emmanuel Macron, l'un des grands challenges que nous avons avec le remote, avant de passer en hybride, c'est le networking face-to-face, c'est le networking. Et donc, nous avons investi 12 000 € pour une année, pour 12 événements où nous allons travailler avec une plateforme californienne qui s'appelle WOVA, qui est aussi utilisée par INSEAD pour ses alumni forums, qui nous permettra de faire du networking avant une conférence avec ceux qui sont déjà inscrits, après une conférence avec tous ceux qui sont inscrits, et de nous rapprocher de ces éléments de networking qui sont tellement importants. Et en fait, le résultat des Essentials, grâce à nos sponsors, qui dans le cas précis, KPMG, il faut dire les chiffres, on a investi 12 000 €, KPMG nous a donné 9 000, BCG 3 000 et McKinsey 3 000. Et c'est comme ça que nous vivons notre business model, mais ça, il faut continuer à le chérir, et ce n'est pas facile, et il faut y travailler tous les jours. Donc voilà, je pense que c'est, avant de passer à la prochaine slide, je voulais, moi, vous dire un tout petit mot personnel. Donc, c'est ma dernière apparition en tant que président. J'ai été avant directeur délégué pendant 6 ans sous la haute présidence de Jean-Marc, et même un peu avant Jean-Marc, sous celle de Gérard Lacappe, qui m'avait engagé avec Jean-Louis Marie, qui est aussi aujourd'hui là. Je ne sais pas si Gérard nous écoute. Et donc, j'ai décidé il y a quelques mois de dire qu'au bout de 10 ans, où j'avais passé 50% de mon temps à m'occuper de l'association, je voulais m'occuper un peu de mes vignes et de mes champs d'oliviers et prendre un peu de recul. Les changements de process dont Jean-Marc, enfin, les contraintes de process de nos statuts et et du Covid ont fait qu'il ne pouvait pas y avoir d'élections aujourd'hui, mais on espère bien avant 6 mois, on aura ces élections, fait que j'ai dit que je voulais participer à la transition, mais uniquement participer à la transition. Donc, je vous remercie pour ces 10 années, et elles ont été superbes. Je pense qu'on a fait de très bonnes choses, de superbes choses, lancées par l'équipe dont s'était entouré Jean-Marc, et Inspire, Grow and Connect, dont je me souviens qu'on l'avait fait dans une salle de l'INSEAD un jour où il neigeait, en janvier, il y a une dizaine d'années, 9 années. Et pour moi, ça a été un grand moment de give back. En fait, c'est très égoïste. Give back, c'est tellement bon que c'est très égoïste, mais je vous remercie beaucoup. Et je laisse le floor à Jean-Marc.
Merci Thomas. Je ne sais pas si vous m'entendez tous bien. Et ce que je voudrais peut-être, Adeline, c'est qu'on enlève le slide, voilà, qui est à l'écran. J'aimerais que tout le monde remette son micro sur on. Donc, on va se démuter. Et j'aimerais essayer quelque chose sur Zoom qui est assez peu essayé, c'est que tout le monde, d'un seul coup, maintenant, se mette à applaudir Thomas à distance. Donc, je ne sais pas ce que ça va donner.
Bravo.
Bon, ben voilà.
Voilà, Thomas, voilà, tu es le premier récipiendaire, je pense. Je n'avais jamais essayé avec quelques dizaines ou centaines de personnes. Tu mérites ces applaudissements. J'ai eu grande joie, moi, à travailler avec toi pendant 6 ans. J'ai eu grande joie à regarder ta présidence pendant les 3 dernières années. Et comme tu l'as dit, tu avais commencé même avant tout cela, dans une phase de transition qui était à l'époque, avant 2011 de mémoire, assez complexe, difficile, merveilleusement gérée avec l'équipe et avec toi comme le premier de l'histoire directeur délégué. Donc vraiment, merci beaucoup pour tout ça. L'objectif, parce que Macron parle tout à l'heure, il ne faut pas faire les adieux à Thomas maintenant, je vais vous dire pourquoi. C'est parce qu'on le fêtera dignement quand le déconfinement le permettra, quand l'éradication, j'espère, bientôt du Covid le permettra. Thomas, je te promets qu'on aura un vrai farewell party pour que tu puisses avoir une occasion de revenir du sud de tes vignes et de tes oliviers et qu'on puisse vraiment ensemble se donner une accolade, j'espère, fraternelle et sans masque. Donc merci pour tout ce que tu as fait et c'est vraiment bien. Et on boira, bien sûr, Florence, on boira tout à fait à la santé de Thomas et de toute l'équipe.
Et mon rosé et mon rouge.
Tu offriras, tu seras un des grands sponsors et un des grands messages.
Absolument. Maintenant, je deviens sponsor.
Voilà. Donc Thomas, merci. Pour
Ça va
tout ce que
te coûter une fortune.
Voilà, on aura l'occasion. Alors, je vais revenir en 2 minutes à un sujet un peu plus sérieux. C'est qu'est-ce qui va se passer? What's going to happen next? Now, Thomas, thank you very much again. But what we need to have right now is a transition. And you've read the email, the official email from the supervisory board, which said that we'll have 6 months of transition. During those 6 months, I've been honored to be tasked with the presidency by interim or transition, just to ensure that the association continues what you've seen here, which is fantastic and great achievements with great work all across the centers of excellence and all across the events and mission towards the alumni. So really, we will continue this. A time of transition is not there to reinvent, to redesign, or to innovate, if you like. It's a continuity during 6 months. To do what else is to allow 2 candidates, Jean-Marc Lechêne, whom you can see here, and Sébastien Barthélemy, who is here as well, to get ready, to get prepared, to understand the association itself, the way it's managed, the hundreds of events that are being arranged and organized every year, to get to know the team, the permanent staff that we have as well, which is instrumental to the success of the association, and to discover a bit the backstage that most of you haven't seen. I've seen it in the past. I know it has changed a bit, but to see the backstage of this association. I think Jean-Marc and Sébastien have proven brave, courageous, daring in order to be candidates for the presidency. So thank you, Jean-Marc, and thank you, Sébastien. It's always difficult not to be able to have a real campaign, not to be able to be elected because of the bylaws of the association which impose a presidential Assemblée Générale. You could not be elected. You could not speak too much to the alumni. You now have 6 months here.
Fini de payer ses locaux.
And to go through.
Fini de payer ses locaux.
Absolument. It's a great pleasure to have you around, Jean-Marc and Sébastien. I would like to give you the floor for really 1 minute each to introduce yourself very briefly, not to do your campaign now or your candidacy speech, if you like, just to say hello, why you're here, so the people can see you, memorize who you are. And then you will have, of course, the floor during the next 6 months to undertake many missions abroad, and of course to speak to the alumni to explain in more details why, in more depth, why you want to be a president and why they should vote for you. So now, Jean-Marc, if you could start briefly, 1 minute, then Sébastien.
Okay, that's the elevator pitch. So good evening, everyone. In a short summary, I've been having a long career, which has driven me in China, in Canada, in the US, in Denmark. It's a lot of change management, communication, building bridges between culture. So which is why I do not know many of you, because I've been abroad for so many years. But now that I'm retired from Vestas, which was my last employer, but I'm still sitting at 3 boards in Denmark and senior advisors to PEs. I really want to give back to the community, which has provided me with so many things. And so give my time, give my experience to the association. I'm very glad to have that opportunity of 6 months to develop the network, get in touch, understand the situation. My first remark: in the past 3 months, I've been trying to participate to all events, and I'm really amazed by what you are doing. And there is a lot of value as being said, probably not rewarded enough. And 2,000 paying people on a population of 7,000, it certainly needs to be increased and deserve to be increased, because what you are doing is what has been done is really amazing. Of course, we have the challenges of the evolution of the business model, and due to the digitalization, COVID probably is just an event, but there are these long lasting trends that we have to probably rethink a little bit. What shall be the value proposition of the association, and not only because of the new environment, but also the expectations of the younger generations, which seems to be seeking something a little bit different. So it's a lot of humbleness and excitement at the same time that I'm joining the EXCO, and I'm looking forward to have these coming months very, very fruitful. So now I leave it, and Sébastien, it's up to you.
Merci, Jean-Marc.
Thanks, Jean-Marc. Thanks, both Jean-Marc, thanks, Thomas, thanks to everyone who presented earlier. My name is Sébastien Barthélémy. I'm an entrepreneur and an MBA alum from 17D. I want to say that from the very first day after my graduation, I've been a member of the association. And so during the last 3 years, I've been very involved in the life of the association by creating a club and leading a second one. I've seen the evolution of our association, its successes. I've been knowing volunteers who are doing great things, but also sometimes seen room for progress, for more agility and modernization. So I've been preparing for several months now a project for the association, for you and for our community. I've met many club presidents. I spoke with even more members. I've listened to their ideas and shared my vision. There's a team of volunteers working with me to prepare this election. And so I very much wanted to present it to you today. I want to remind that our school is among the best 3 in the world. It trains brilliant professionals, and we can be proud of our school, proud of our alumni family, proud to be INSEADers. We are a diverse network, but homogeneous. We have common values, common qualities, and more than anything, exceptional people and professionals. So our community is of an infinite richness. The network extends to every areas of the economy. And I think that together we have an incredible strength. So that's my project. My project is to unleash the power of our community, to unleash the potential, the strengths of our network, and so that this network is for you a major asset throughout your life. But for that, I need you. And that's what the very first thing, if I'm elected, will be to lead a very large survey, to listen to the community and readapt our association to build the next era of the IAF with you. So thank you very much, Jean-Marc. I'm very much looking forward to working with you, with the EXCO, the whole team, and the volunteers in the next 6 months. So I'll be even more ready to be your next president for the next 3 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Thank you, Sébastien. Thank you, Jean-Marc. And I want to conclude, so we finish before 8 p.m. With 3 ideas. Number 1, it's a transition team that I will put in place. A transition team which will be compact, a core team with, of course, Jean-Marc, Sébastien. I'm very glad to say that Thomas has agreed to stay for 6 months extra. So he will overcome and surpass the 10 years mandate. So that's great. Thank you, Thomas. Claude has agreed to be, Claude Perrol has agreed to be on this very compact team, transition team. Thank you, Claude, for that. And we count on you. And the last one, Guillaume, obviously, as our finance guru, treasurer, will, of course, be part of this 6-people team, which I call the transition team. And we need to be successful to ensure that we breed and train the future president of the association. Number 2, I will count on the EXCO of today, all of you, if need be, to help continue what we say in French, the affaires courantes. We need to ensure that the association continues to deliver the excellent number of activities, events, etc., across the different centers of expertise. So the existing members of the EXCO, I'll speak to in the coming days, as I start now my new mission, in order to see how we best ensure the management des affaires courantes over the next 6 months. And the third message is of course, to all of you. We're not all the alumni, the 7,000 here, nor the 2,000 members who've paid their cotisation, but the message to you is really that we need you in order not to succeed the transition, to revise the bylaws, to ensure the election of the next president after COVID recess. But we need you because, as you understood from Thomas and Guillaume, the association will thrive, certainly, but also survive only if you are all around and behind us with your cotisation, the annual membership, and with all your energy and participation to the events, be they free or be they payable. So really, message to all of you, ladies, gentlemen, we need you for the next 6 months. Thomas, I conclude for you. Thank you, huge thank you on behalf of the entire community, the 7,000, even those who do not pay their membership, but sincerely happy to continue working with you for the next 6 months. We've been a team together in the past, we're now a team again. I'm very happy to have you at my side. So thank you guys and bravo again.